Hey guys, it is Business Coach Maya here today, and I've got another hot and sexy topic for you. If you want to find ways of being able to earn more money in your company, if you want to grow your current service based business and you're thinking, there's a lot of stuff that I need to figure out that nobody is talking about, you are in the right place. And today's topic is just for you because I am hearing this consistently on the workshops and with coaching clients, and the topic relates to Maya, how do I find more time to sell when I'm busy with whatever you may be busy with? You may, for example, be raising some children and have a family, or you may be a caregiver, right, for another member of your family, and that takes considerable time. And it's not just the time, a lot of times, it's the mental energy, the emotional energy, the physical energy that you have to exert so that now when you sit down and run your business, you're like, I don't even know where to start or what to do or how to pick things up and make it happen. You may be running your business full time right now or running it even part time because you're still working full time and you're constantly running into this cycle of, I'm just always got things on my plate. There's always something that has to get done. I got to call this person and take care of this. I got to take the garbage out. I got to deal with the laundry. I got to deal with all the crap that exists in your day to day life. And when you're then getting ready to try to find more time to sell, it gets really, really frustrating because you're like, if I just had an empty day, an empty schedule, and stuff was done, and I had the clarity of mind and the presence of mind to just be able to think and focus on the business, well, darn it, I could sell more, I could make more, I could figure this thing out. And I want to challenge that for a lot of us, that may never be the reality, right? You may never have a completely clear schedule, which, to be frank, I think is a good thing because it means that we're valuable human beings in this world and that we're needed. But seriously, aside of that point, you may never get to that place of being able to kind of clear your calendar off the way you want to. So are you going to wait until that time frame ever happens before you start growing your business and doing the things that are going to help it to grow? Well, I want to challenge you today. I'm going to give you 3 tips today, okay? Just three. 3 ways of thinking about your work, thinking about the business that ideally will help you work with the existing time that you do have, okay? Because I'm a firm believer. It's not about creating more time. I mean, I wish we could do that, but they haven't figured that part out of the equation just yet in science. So until we have more time, I think we just have to be a better steward, a better manager of the time that we currently have. And for a lot of us, no one is teaching you the entrepreneurial way of how to do that. How do you find more time to sell when you're busy? Really, the better question is, how do I work with the existing time that I have? The lack of mental energy, the lack of emotional energy that I may have around my business, and I know that I need to sell more. How do I do that? So I'm going to dive in and give you 3 tools to get you started in thinking about how to navigate that within your own business. So the first tool is this. I want to bust some bubbles, put some pins into some ideas, and challenge you to unlearn some things about running a business. Right now, if you think about the entrepreneurial landscape, right, and you think about the ecosystem about how to build a business, everyone is saying, buy this program, go to this event, try this tool, try this technique, get this support. They all very well may be good, but to be frank, they very well may be good for a young single male with no caregiving responsibilities, who's got a trust fund and can kind of lean into doing all of these things and spending 18 hours a day working on their business. If you don't fall into that category, which for a lot of us, we just don't, it may not be that what they're telling you is wrong. It's just that we have to shift what our perception is about how we actually do this work, how we actually grow the business. And one of the biggest shifts that I want to challenge you on is I don't want you to worry about trying to get more time to do all of the things you need to do. I want you to own your CEO-dom. I want you to own you being the owner and the leader of this business and what that really means and how you really need to show up within this business. So here's what I mean by that. You've probably had the experience where you had a teacher back in school years ago who owned her role, his or her rather, right, as a teacher. When they walked into the classroom and they said good morning, there was a way that they got the classroom immediately. They got everyone's attention. And even little bad kids sitting in the back of the room had to pay attention to that teacher because they owned the role that they had as a teacher in that room. You probably have also had teachers, for example, in your past, that when they walked into the room, you elbowed your friend next to you and you were like, we gonna have fun with this one, because they didn't own their role. And they might have actually been brilliant. They might have been really, really good at teaching, but they didn't have that ability to navigate a classroom and manage all the personalities and all of the stuff that was going to go on within that. And so, what I want to challenge you with is I want to challenge you to be like that first teacher, that first educator, right? That goes into the room and owns it. Now, this is not to say that you all day, every day are going to be in your business like, I got this and I own this. No, but it's your approach to how you do things, and it's the stance that you have when you come in. Because even with that first educator, I'm sure there were days that he or she came in that room and they was tired. And they needed like an extra shot of espresso in their coffee in order to get through. But even in that state, right? Even in that situation, you can think of what they actually were able to do in that classroom was probably 10 times better than all those other teachers that did not own their role and who they were. So let me give you one example of what that might look like for you within your business, of you owning that you're going to be running this business. You're going to be the CEO of this particular enterprise. One of the biggest things is you're going to have to set aside time for planning, period. Part of the reason that I focus on my coaching on the sales plan is far too many entrepreneurs are just hoping, I'm just going to find clients. And you know that that's not the case. You know that you've got to sit down and you actually have to come up with a plan. You've got to craft an idea of how you think you're going to get to that end goal. Now, you may very well be totally off when you start to implement that plan. Nobody says the plan's going to work and it's going to be perfect. That's why you work with people to help you perfect the plan. But the first step is you got to sit down with a plan and you've got to create something that is going to help you figure out, how am I going to get to that end goal? And so I want to challenge you as you move forward with running your business. There are always going to be new tech tools and toys that you need to pick up, right? There's always going to be new learnings you're going to need to have to stay abreast of the latest tax rules or, the latest opportunities in your market or things of that nature. But I also will challenge you on this. Stop trying to run the business the same way that you might have successfully run being an employee years ago. I want to challenge you to think about, this is a completely different role, a completely different space that you have to occupy when you're running a business, even if you aren't making any money. Like, I don't care if you are just like selling something and you're earning $100 a month in your business right now. And you're like, but Maya, I'm not really a CEO. Yes, you are. The first day that you sign the paperwork to state you have a legal structure and you get ready to be able to pay your taxes on that business, you are officially a CEO. And part of the thing that I think is very often not emphasized, especially for a lot of entrepreneurs getting started, the thing that is often holding you back from growing, it's not just knowing what to do, but it is knowing how to show up, who you are to be, in order to be able to then make sure that the business can grow to the level that you see it growing to. Well, now that you're thinking in this space, I want to bring in the second part of the equation of how do I find more time? And I'm going to challenge you. Start with your revenue generating tasks. Yes, I said it. Start. And there's an emphasis on the word start with your revenue generating tasks. Maya, what in the world does that mean? Like, how does that show up? Let me tell you. I was talking with a coaching client not too long ago, and we were going through her list of how she spends her time and how she engages in her day typically. And one of the things that I saw immediately was that she often was going back and forth to email throughout the day. All right, she's constantly checking her email. Now, she does have clients that are very time sensitive, like her work is very time sensitive, and there's a lot of demands that are on her schedule. So there is a reason for why she needed to do it that way. But what I recommended that she do is, instead of showing up all day, every day within her inbox and dealing with her email, was to start her day, whatever her work day was. And for you, your work day could be an entire day. It could be 10 minutes. I don't care. But to start with the revenue generating tasks. And this is a big deal, by the way, guys. For a lot of us, and I know that when I do my Crush Your Sales group coaching work, a lot of people start sharing with me the tasks that they're working on. And those tasks are important, but they aren't necessarily generating revenue. And that's a hard pill for a lot of us to swallow, because we're thinking, but I need to get this done. You very well may need to get that task done, right? But is it actually making you money? And one of the hardest pills to swallow when you first start really stepping into this space is starting to examine the list of things that you're doing, and are they actually making you money? For a lot of us, they're not. They're things we're comfortable with doing. They're things that we understand need to get done, They're things that are actually a priority. And I'm not discounting any of those things. Listen, every year you better file your taxes with the government. I don't want to hear it. Okay. I don't want to hear, whether you had a loss, whether you made money, you need to handle your accounting, your paperwork to be able to navigate the tax season. Is that a revenue generating task? Not necessarily, right? In the end of the day, you might get a refund back and that could be kind of nice, but it's not really revenue per se. It's actually reflective more off of whatever the profits are or however you paid your taxes in that regards. It's not revenue. Revenue is you finding new clients. Revenue is you selling your products and services and getting new people in the door or getting returning customers back in the door again so that they're interested in purchasing whatever it is that you have. So I want to challenge you, and this one is a hard one. I know it's a hard one because I know if you actually sit down and you start looking at your list, I had a really hard time with this when I first started doing this, right? I worked for a number of years doing work in a white collar professional environment where I focused a lot around operations, right? There was some business development work that I did within the roles, and there was also a very large operationally based part of my work. I prefer the operations, right? Like, give me a task list, give me the things that I can check them off the list and be like, I did it, I did it, I did it. That makes me feel really good. You can do that though, when your company is actually providing the support and the resources to bring the money in from another direction. You can totally do that as an employee, especially if that's what your job is. You're supposed to do that. But when you're the entrepreneur, if you don't go out there and go make the money, if you don't go out there and go find the revenue, then you're not going to bring in and you're not going to be able to grow the company the way that you need to. Now, when you first start unpacking this just seems like, okay, well, I'll try to sell more or I'll try to find people. And that's where you start running into the roadblocks, right? Listen, if you're running into roadblocks, which all of us do at different points in our businesses, get the support around this. Get the support around how do you bring in more revenue in the company. Perhaps you need to work on your marketing and bringing in new contacts, new clients, new leads. Then take some time and invest some time in that. Perhaps you don't have a good handle of your pricing. You're not charging the types of pricing that you should be, which would actually increase your revenue right away, right? You see a competitor charging more than you and you're delivering more and you're like, well, why am I not charging that? Work on that, okay? But the bottom line is your focus, whatever time that you have on the business, right? Stop getting your things to-do list done and start by focusing on your revenue generating tasks for the day. Because if you start with the plan, like I gave you in the first slide, and then you're working on your revenue generating tasks, you're going to find out in a very short period of time. And this applies even if you only have 20 minutes a day. You might only have like a really short window every day to work on your business. And you're like, oh, okay. It actually is even more critical if you have this short window of time. Start with your revenue generating tasks. And if you don't know what that is, get support, get coaching, and get guidance around that so you can start figuring out where do you need to show up more regularly around. Now, this leads into the third and the final tip. And I think that this tip is a big one if you really take to heart this idea of I need to show up as the CEO. I need to lean into more of my CDO-dom, and I need to start with my revenue generating tasks. You're going to have to get okay that it's messy. And it might be messy for a period of time, and that's perfectly okay. Listen, one of the biggest fallacies that I think for a lot of women entrepreneurs that I see and that I talk to, and heck, I'll even say for myself as well, is that we have been trained and socialized to abhor any type of mess. Mess, chaos, I don't do that, right? Like that's not how I work and how I operate. Now, I won't get into the social political reasons as to why women are often socialized in this way. There's a critical reason as to why we tend to show up in this particular manner. There's a reason why you're kind of wired in that particular way. But I am going to tell you this. If you want to grow a profitable business, you're going to have to get okay with that there's going to be messes in your business. And it is what it is. And it's okay, right? And you'll figure out ways to clean it up. But here's the deal. How are you ever going to fully clean up the mess if you're not bringing in enough revenue, right? How are you ever going to be able to bring on the team members that can support you with the operations, that can support you with the administrative things? How can you ever hire a bookkeeper, for example, to help you keep better track of your books, right? If you know that there are areas that are not your skill set or your strength, right? Like maybe, looking at your receipts is like not your ideal way of spending a couple of hours. Hey, I'm with you on that one. I totally get it. Awesome. But then you're going to have to be okay with it being messy for a period of time, right? Until you bring in enough revenue that you can then hire the bookkeeper that you need. And I think a lot of businesses miss this point. They always want everything to be clean, for you to be in charge and confident and comfortable and like, I got this thing. You very well may, but you may have to go through some messy periods in order to be able to fully execute on that. Okay? So I do want to challenge you all, and I really want to welcome you all and invite you all to consider these 3 ideas. I do think that these ideas of how to be able to find more time in your schedule are critical, because for a lot of people right now, you could be bringing in more money. You could be bringing in more profits into your business. I am here for it. And the way that you want to focus on doing that is start with who you are as a CEO, focus on your revenue generating tasks first, and this final tip of be okay that it's messy. Wishing you all the best in your entrepreneurial journey. And I've got some resources below this video if you'd like to find out more, if you think you might need the support of the type of work that I do. Have an amazing one, guys.